This video is not for whales and dolphins, it's for you, because you are just like me. Average Gamer here, and today let's discuss some do's and don'ts of Zenless ZZero. This is mostly aimed at newer players, but it could serve as a mindset refresh for the veteran gacha enjoyers. Advice that's good to hear every once in a while, and you can tell me what I missed in the comments down below. So let's start off with some good old-fashioned pulling advice. Do number one, pull for characters that you want and enjoy. It sounds so obvious, but I guess what I'm saying is make decisions based on the gameplay and characters that you like. It's easy to get swept up in the hype for a super meta agent, one who's going to make the game easier for you. And if that's important to you, then sure, you can prioritize that too. But more importantly, it's waifu over meta. And I've made entire videos about this before, but I think it's just so important to win with the characters that you like, whether they be meta or not. So to build on this a little, if you want to beat the harder content with characters that are not currently favored by the meta, then you will need to consider how you're supporting them. For example, you can't just throw all of your favorite attack characters at the problem. You need synergistic teams to make the most out of their abilities. Okay, let's do a don't, but let's stay on pulls. Don't pull for Mindscapes for S-rank characters. Every limited S-rank character so far has been good and useful, some more so than others, and they've all filled a role well. If a limited S-rank character wasn't good at M0 and required Mindscapes, then myself and every other content creator would be warning you off of pulling them. However, as we just talked about, if you really like them as a character and want to use them, you can still pull them, but just be aware that the investment required is going to be higher, and you may feel the need to additionally pull for copies to unlock the character's Mindscapes. But honestly, I don't think that's something that we need to be too concerned about right now. The limited S-rank characters are getting better and better, and I can't see that changing anytime soon. And if a character that you really like fills a more niche role, then you'll just need to spend a bit more time and effort on the team that you want to use them in. You shouldn't feel the need to cover up a character's shortcomings by pulling additional copies, because by doing so, you're giving up the chance to pull for other characters. It's the same cost and chance to pull for a Mindscape for a character as it is to pull for a whole different character. And as this video is not aimed at whales and dolphins, we likely don't even have 3 teams full of S ranks at this point. So leave the Mindscapes for reruns and later on when you're happy with your teams, and leave them alone for now. Okay, back to a do. Do build your characters methodically. What do I mean by that? Well, both in the comment sections and on my Discord, I see people talking about investments and making mistakes with resources pretty regularly. So by building a character methodically, you can make sure that you don't make that mistake. The method is to get the character into a position where you're happy with their guaranteed upgrades before you start looking at RNG upgrades. So this means focus on the character's level and Wenjin level first, and then move on to the skills, normally prioritizing the core skill first and then moving on to the most relevant character skills, and then start to farm and upgrade drive discs. I know drive discs are more exciting because we're all gacha players and we like to roll the stats on the disc, but it should be last in your list of priorities when character building, because you'll get guaranteed upgrades from upgrading your character core skill, for example. So do that first before you start disc farming. However, if you're super new and you just need a few discs to get you going, then sure, go for just a little and get a few discs. But in that case, try to prioritize upgrading good discs in slots 1, 2, and 3, because chances are if you have a few discs, you won't have the right main stats for slots 4, 5, and 6. And so those discs will probably end up getting replaced when you actually do start farming. Additionally, did you know that 1.4 has a bunch of helpful tools to help you out with what to prioritize? There's now a special training plan showing you what is recommended for each character and their skill level, and what drive discs to use in what slot. And you can see what the game recommends and also how that may differ to what most players are running. You could always go watch a guide for character, of course, but having the information available to you right here is so useful, particularly for newer players. But back to the point, upgrade your character to a decent level and skill level before you start investing your battery charge into drive discs. That doesn't mean you have to max them out, and every character is different, but get them to a comfortable level, and aiming for what's on the training plan is a pretty solid bet. Before we jump back over to the don'ts, this is your reminder that you probably aren't subscribed. Liking and subscribing really helps support creators like me on YouTube. If you're interested in streams, drop me a follow on Twitch, the schedule's on there, and if you want to just ask some questions or hang out, then join the Discord, links in the description. Let's jump back over to a don't. Don't just pull randomly. I get you want to pull the handle on the slot machine, we all do, but when pulls are limited, pulling tactically based on what you have or what you're working towards is the smartest way to approach the game. For example, in 1.0, we had 2 characters, Ellen and Cake Yuan, and you could pretty much get enough to guarantee one or other as a free-to-play player. Now, if you had pulled Lycan, an ice buffing stun character, it would make more sense to lean fully in and try to get Ellen as an ice attack character. Whereas if you didn't get Lycan, Yuan works incredibly well with 2 free units in Ambi and Nicole. So G2, then you end up with a better team by just waiting for G1. And I guess what I'm getting at here with this one is to play around your luck and lean into what you do end up getting, especially early on in your Zenless Zone Zero journey, as you really don't want to pull characters that you have no use for. Let's use another example. If you have no ice or fire damage dealers, Lighter, who's a stun character who buffs fire and ice elements, is really not that useful. However, if you've been planning to use Lighter with Miyabi and made sure you had enough saved up for both, then that's a great decision. Or even if you know that you don't have enough for Miyabi because you wanted Lighter, but you're planning to get Evelyn in 1.5 and maybe pick up Soldier 11th from your 300th standard pool, then again, it's a good decision, as long as you have some kind of plan in mind. I just see it as kind of frustrating when players complain about getting limited S-rank characters that they have no use for. Bruh, just save. And there are correct times to build pity, but players who are building pity by chucking 20 or 30 pulls at a banner without a guarantee to get an A rank or two aren't the ones complaining when the S rank comes home earlier than expected. Let's move back over to a do. Do the events. Some of the events, particularly in the current version 1.4, have been so incredibly generous, with polychrome and additional rewards too. So making sure that even if you don't have time to 100% everything, that you get in, get out, and get a bunch of rewards. In particular, at the time of recording, on the 3rd, we have 4 events going on at the same time, all of which include polychrome rewards, as well as a new engine, hamster cage passes, character upgrade materials, and tower defense bang boom minigame that's actually just fun as heck. So if your game time is limited, then prioritize the events as opposed to the story quests, as the story won't go anywhere, but the events normally only stick around for a week or two. And that is the nature of gacha. Sometimes it can feel like an overwhelming amount of stuff, but it's generally fed through in drips and drops. It just feels like everything all at once right now because of 1.4 being a soft relaunch for the game. So they're kind of throwing everything at us. But as players, we should make the most of it, provided that you have the time to play for a few hours here and there, and this will link into my next point. So lastly then, and one more don't, and that is don't feel the FOMO. So this is also considering things from a time-limited perspective, and includes if you just straight don't have time to do something. I know I mentioned just a second ago that players should be taking advantage of all the stuff that you can get through the events, but if you only have time to log in here and there and just don't have time to do it all right now, then don't. Real talk time. I used to play a few gachas at the same time, and these games are designed to be huge time sinks. They want you to spend your time on them because then you're more likely to spend money on them. And I felt overwhelmed trying to work through all of the events and get my daily bonuses in multiple games, and it just left me no time to actually enjoy the game. But then I let it go, and it felt like a weight had been lifted. It was liberating just logging into the one that I wanted to play that day and then actually playing the game. Who cares if you miss some login bonus or an event or two? It's no big deal. It's a video game at the end of the day, and the game will still be there when you're ready to play it. And I do think Zenless Zone Zero does a really good job of letting players engage quickly. Your dailies can get done in a minute or so, and then you can run a couple of HIA missions and bounce out. It feels like it values time, even if you don't have that much time to play or you don't play for a while. And don't stress about it. It really isn't worth worrying about. You'll get back to it when you have the time, and it'll catch you up pretty quick. And anyway, that's your lot. 3 do's and don'ts for Zenless Zone Zero. If you're interested, another video of mine should pop up now. You should click it if you haven't seen it. I just got through a whole video without talking about butts. No, I messed up. Anyway, as always, remember to like and subscribe for better than average luck on all your pulls. Pull responsibly. Stay weird. Bye.